On October 13, Russian Marines from the 155th Naval Infantry Brigade captured, stripped, and executed 9 Ukrainian drone operators while counterattacking the 300-square-mile Ukrainian-held salient in Russia's Kursk Oblast. The next day, a pair of Ukrainian Air Assault Brigades, the 82nd and 95th, went on a mission of revenge, deliberately hunting down small units from the 155th Naval Infantry Brigade and taking no prisoners. The vengeance continues. On Friday, the 95th Air Assault Brigade cornered a 155th Naval Infantry Brigade platoon near the village of Leonidovo in Kursk and dismantled it, reportedly destroying 3 BTR-wheeled armored personnel carriers and killing 30 Russians. The teleportation of the enemy to hell took place in a complex way, the Ukrainian Air Assault Branch explained. A Ukrainian drone damaged the first BTR, making it an easy target for a nearby Ukrainian tank. After that, one of the 95th Air Assault Brigade's anti-tank specialists, notoriously some of the most bloodthirsty troops on the battlefield of Russia's 32-month wider war on Ukraine, destroyed the second BTR with a well-aimed Javelin missile. The third BTR ran over a mine the 95th Air Assault Brigade's engineers had placed in its path. "Greetings from the 95th, the brigade quipped. This isn't the first time the 155th Naval Infantry Brigade has suffered heavy casualties. The brigade, which at full strength has around 3,000 troops, lost as many as 300 troops a day for days on end and was nearly destroyed while attacking the fortress town of Vuhledar in southern Ukraine in February 2023, according to the Warsaw Institute, a Polish think tank. The Kremlin sent replacement Marines and ordered the 155th Naval Infantry Brigade back into action around Vuhledar. It promptly got destroyed again. The 155th has likely been reduced to combat ineffective status at least twice in the last 6 months, the UK Defence Ministry concluded in April 2023. Vuhledar finally fell to the Russians on October 1 after its exhausted Ukrainian garrison, anchored by the 72nd Mechanized Brigade, ran low on battle-ready troops. It's possible the Ukrainian invasion of Kursk, which kicked off on August 6, was the decisive factor. The Kursk operation arguably deprived units such as the 72nd Mechanized Brigade of badly needed reinforcements. The 155th Naval Infantry Brigade had already redeployed to Kursk by the time of Vuhledar's capture. The brigade led the Russian attack on the western edge of the Ukrainian salient last week, initially advancing several miles and capturing those unfortunate drone operators before Ukrainian counterattacks blunted its momentum. The current fighting isn't just the usual back and forth that has characterized this largely positional war. For the comrades of those murdered Ukrainian drone operators, it's personal. The Ukrainian Air Assault Forces refer to the 155th Naval Infantry Brigade's Marines as bastards, rabid dogs, and war criminals. For the Ukrainians in Kursk, vengeance is a powerful motivator. The implication for the Russians is chilling. It's possible the 155th Naval Infantry Brigade is about to get destroyed again. Russia has lost more than 9,000 tanks and over 18,000 armored vehicles in its grinding war effort against Ukraine, Kyiv said on Thursday, with little end in sight for the conflict now heading into the tough winter season. Ukraine's military said on Thursday that Russia had lost a total of 9,014 tanks since February 2022, including 17 over the previous 24 hours. Moscow lost 33 armored personnel carriers between Wednesday and Thursday, Kyiv said, bringing its tally of total Russian armored fighting vehicle losses to 18,002. Russia's grinding advances along hundreds of miles of front lines in Ukraine have come at a heavy price, paid by its personnel and its stocks of military hardware. Russia captured eastern key cities, such as the Donetsk settlements of Bakhmut last May and Avdiivka earlier this year, but sustained tank and armored vehicle losses. Experts previously told Newsweek that, early on in Russia's war effort, there were significant failures in organization and planning of tank assaults, as well as poor training, low morale, and ruptures in the chain of command. The most experienced tank crews were committed to the fight in the very few weeks of the full-scale war, leaving behind new recruits with few trainers to instruct them. To backfill extensive losses, Russia pulled tanks from storage and placed its defense industry on a war footing, able to refill its stocks while taking constant hits from Ukrainian forces. Russian President Vladimir Putin said in February this year that Russia's domestic tank production had increased fivefold in the 2 years since the start of what Moscow has termed its special military operation in Ukraine. The British government estimated at the start of 2024 that Russia could likely produce around 100 main battle tanks a month to prop up its armored assaults. Ukraine does not have the same ability to produce replacement tanks and armored vehicles as Russia, but has received aid deliveries including vehicles from its Western backers. Russia's defense ministry said on Thursday that Ukraine had lost 18,634 tanks and armored vehicles in more than 2.5 years of war. Ukrainian sources have increasingly reported Russian assaults with small groups of infantry fighters, coming up against Ukraine's defenses without using armored vehicles or tanks.